Hello and welcome to my channel. So today we are going to look at how to activate a paste event on your OTP field so that instead of a user just having to come and type in one after the other, they can simply go to their text or email wherever they got their OTP from, they can copy it and then they can paste and have it filled all over. So we are going to learn this. We're also going to learn how to hide the OTP values or the PIN value so that instead of showing the actual numbers, it just shows this disguise. And then even if there's somebody beside you, they will not have access to your PIN or OTP. So let's get started. In our previous video, we learned how to create this OTP field so that if I start typing something, it moves to the next and to the next until it is completely filled in. And then when you click on this, you get the actual OTP together. If you haven't learned how to do that, I'll put a link to the previous video in the description so you can check it out. So today we'll just go straight to handling a paste event on our application. So to do that, this is the change event that we are using to move this to move the boxes to the next when we type. So I'm going to keep this away and declare a new function which I'll call my handle paste. And of course, I'll pass in an E. So the first thing I want to do is when the user activates or initiates a paste, when they do their Ctrl V, I want to first of all access the data they are trying to paste. So I will get that data and store it in a variable called value. So I'll do const value is equal to e dot clipboard data dot get data, and the data I'm going to get is the text that has just been copied to the clipboard, right? So when I do this, I want to check if the value, if what I just copied to my clipboard is not a number, I don't want to proceed with pasting it so that somebody will not go and copy alphabets or letters that are not part of our OTP and come and paste it in the OTP field. So I like to check that if this value is not a number, just return false. Don't go any further than this. Don't run this function. Otherwise, then you can proceed and do the other instructions I'm about to give to you. Right? So what I want to do now is I have to convert whatever value it is they're giving me to string so that I can apply the string method, which is the split method, right? Because if you remember, our OTP is an array of strings. So I have to convert it to string and split it so that they can all the OTP array can take the indexes, can match the indexes with the individual items I've just splitted. So for me to do that, I'm going to say const updated value is equal to this value that I have just defined dot I convert it to string, and then whatever string I get from there, I want to split that string. I want to split them individually, right? So after doing this, I can now set my OTP to the updated value. So when I run this function, I expect that it's going to just put in anything that a user has copied. So let's try this and see. So if I copy this, let's say we put in new values. If I copy this, first of all, I have to call my function in the input. So I have to come here and say on paste. Let's run the function. Handle paste this way, right? So now remember, I've copied this from my notepad. So if I come here and I paste, I get it just this way, right? But take note of this. These are 4 digits. If I add more fields to it, right, and I come here and paste, although we have only 4 input tags here, by the time I paste, it will automatically create lagging input tags. So what I want to do is I want to limit what I'm pasting to the number of input tags that I have, right? So for me to do that, I have to go back to my handle paste function and say when you split this, I want you to slice, right? So I want to only return the number of inputs that I have. So start from index 0 and stop at 4 so that it can only give me 4 digits. So this time around, even if I add as many numbers as possible and I copy, by the time I come here and paste, I'm only going to get the first 4 and it's going to ignore the rest. So instead of putting this 4 here, I think the best practice for you to do is just to put the length of your array so that if later I change this from 4 to 5, it will automatically apply. So instead of writing this 4 here, I'll come here and say OTP dot length, since my OTP is an array, and this will work perfectly fine. So if I copy all of this, if I add more data to this and I copy, by the time I come here and paste, I only get the first 4. If I increase my OTP fields to 6, for instance, I'll get this. So if I paste, I'll get the first 6. That's how to make it as dynamic as possible. So the next thing for us to do, I'll return this to 4, first of all, because I only want 4 for my OTP. Next thing for us to do is, how about we stop seeing these numbers as they are and just see only these guys? So for us to do that, it's simple. I just change this text to type password. And by the time I do that, it automatically hides the numbers, right? So the person who's looking at this from the front end will no longer see numbers. But if I click submit, you have access to the numbers on your own side, so you can use it to run your validation, right? So one final thing I'd like to show you is when I click here and I paste, right? I no longer want to focus here. Two things you can do. I either want to focus at the end or I don't want to focus anywhere at all, right? So for me to do that, I will simply come into this my handle paste function and say, first of all, I want to know where am I focused on right now. I want to know where my cursor is at the moment, so that if I want to remove the cursor from there, I can go ahead and remove it. And then if I want to focus on the last input, I can also go ahead and focus on the last input. So for me to know where my current position is, I can say, okay, const focused input, let's know which input is focused on, is equal to e.target.parent node. Let's use query selector. And select all the inputs, right? But we don't want just all the inputs. We want the one that is focused on at the moment, right? So I can now come down here and say, if there is a focused input, then focused input dot blur. The blur will remove the focus from wherever it currently is. So if I come here again and I copy this and I'm focused on the first input right now, if I paste, you see it pastes and then the focus is gone. If I focus here and I paste, it pastes and then the focus is gone. So if you also want to focus on the last input when you are done, let's say when you paste, you want to focus on the last input in case the user wants to delete or do something with it. What we want to do is, first of all, let's know what the last input is. So I say const last input is equal to e.target.parent node. Use query selector again, right? So we're using our query selector to select all the input tags first of all. So we say let's get all the inputs, but we don't need all the input on the application. We only need the inputs that the type is what? The type is password, right? So when we get all the inputs that are of type password, we are looking for the last child. So I get my last child, right? My strings are conflicting each other because I have two double strings here. So I'm going to make the first one single strings. Yes, and that fixes that, right? So by the time I do this, then the next thing for me to do will be to focus on this last child, if there is a last child. So I can now come down here. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this font size. Okay, so I say if last child, if last input dot focus, and that's it. So now when I come and I paste, if I paste, oh, I don't have anything on my clipboard. Okay, I copy and I come and paste, it's going to focus on the last child. But ideally, I prefer you take away the focus completely. So when you paste, there's no need for you to focus again. You just continue with whatever you came to the website to do. It's just going to go ahead and submit. So this is my personal preference. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to this channel to support us. Thank you very much.